I'm gonna talk a little bit about the post-Reconstruction period first, then we'll move along to the 60s and 70s. During the early 1900s, in the post-Reconstruction period, racism was prevalent in both the North and the South. In the North, blacks were denied access to skilled trades. They could not go to certain hotels, and black teachers lost their jobs. Black workers were eliminated from jobs, such as electricians, etc. And they could not be corporate lawyers or plastic surgeons. Franz Boas, a racist anthropologist, stressed the so-called innate inferiority that blacks were a separate species, one step above the ape in the evolutionary scale. During this period, there was an African-American Marxist, Pan-African, that fought against lynchings, segregation, job discrimination, and racism and imperialism in the United States. This man was Paul Leroy Robeson. Paul was born in Princeton, New Jersey on April 9, 1898. Paul faced racism at an early age. The town of Princeton was a Jim Crow city where blacks held menial jobs and public schools were segregated. Paul graduated from summer school, high school, and went to Rutgers University, where he joined the track team, football, baseball, and basketball teams. And I'm going to tell everybody, if he would have made any one of those sports his profession, when he graduated, he would have excelled and became not only an All-American, but in the Hall of Fame of sports. Paul graduated with honors. He attended Columbia University and received his Juris Doctor's degree in 1924. He appeared in several plays and films. One of his most popular ones are Emperor Jones, Othello, and All God's Children Have Wings, and Planting the City are just a few of his artistic works. And in Othello and All God's Children Have Wings, Othello, he had a white wife, of course, if anybody read Othello, Shakespeare, and in the play, he kills his white wife. And All God's Children Have Wings, he had actually like a kissing scene with one of the white women, okay, that he played with. And these racist critics criticized him, calling the N-word, etc. And Mary Blair and Peggy Oscott, who was in the plays with him, those two plays, they defended him. And they practically cussed out those white critics that criticized Paul Robeson. Paul Robeson was instrumental in fighting against segregation in the auto industry and the CIO unions. Paul organized black communists and white communists that were in the United Auto Workers to demonstrate and fight against segregation laws of Ford, GM, and Chrysler. Robeson hard work and militant activities helped African Americans get into the skilled trade unions, get job promotions, and equal pay. Ford discriminated against blacks because they could only be sweepers, janitors, and foundry workers. And if you know anything about history, let alone black history, GM and Chrysler didn't hire us at all during that time. Paul Robeson helped to formulate the Anti-Axis Refugee Committee during World War II. They gave refugee to prisoners of war that were victimized by the racist, fascist Nazis. And when I talk about another great leader, I'm going to emphasize the Nazis, and you're going to be surprised what I'm going to say. Paul was part of the officers nominated to the National Negro Congress, which was comprised of black communists from the Communist Party and left-wing unions and members of the Socialist Party and the National Association of Colored People. The NNC fought against fascism abroad and racism, lynching, and segregation in America. Because of internal conflict of the NNC and the lack of membership, the NNC evaporated and the Civil Rights Congress was formed by the great Paul Robeson, who was the president, and William Patterson of the Communist Party, who was vice president. The Civil Rights Congress organized a petition drive to abolish lynchings of African Americans. And you'd be surprised, but I wasn't when I really read this. Okay, but this is a great man too, in many ways. The legendary Albert Einstein helped the Civil Rights Congress get signatures for the petition. They made speeches against lynchings. And also, Einstein was very instrumental in educating a lot of black kids in this country too. teaching them sciences, etc. And he was a revolutionary in his own right. Paul was president of the Council of African Affairs. Dr. W. Bo was his vice president. The council organized a campaign to combat racism and imperialism in Africa. The organization raised funds to support the liberation struggles in South Africa and other countries in the continent. Paul believed that the Soviet Union had a right to exist and that the system of socialism was a far superior economic system than capitalism. Paul and his wife went to the Soviet Union and discovered that there were no racism and that black people lived in the Soviet Union and they were allowed to work, go to school free, and receive medical care free. And also I want people to know that Stalin passed the anti-lynching law there. And so if one of us got lynched by a white person, that white person would be killed. Okay. Paul was brought up on charges of being a communist by the FBI and House Un-American Activities Committee for his affiliation with the Communist Party, his defiant desire to fight racism, imperialism, and capitalist oppression. He was denied to travel abroad to sing his liberation songs, and he was deterred from speaking out against racism in America. Some reporters interviewed Paul about hurting his cause by aligning himself with communism. Paul responded. Roosevelt lashed out in anger. "Is this what you want?" he asked them, pretending to bend and to the waist, for me to bend and bow and shuffle along and be a nice, kindly colored man and say please when I ask for better treatment for my people. Well, it doesn't work. Paul Robeson was a great Pan-African communist that fought against racism, capitalism, oppression, and imperialism brought around the world. He organized campaigns against fascism and U.S. imperialism in Chile, El Salvador, Guatemala. Also, he organized campaigns against the war in North Korea. He supported our comrades, DPRK.